Yo, we live in this mug. Live in this mug. I know I got the illest intro on YouTube, man. Ain't nobody messing with me. Ain't nobody coming close, man. Nobody coming close, man, to the intro, man. Over here swinging on my tea, you know what I mean? Swinging on my tea, cuz. Man, over here drinking some mushroom tea. I need to get up on it, son. See, they don't know about that mushroom tea, son. Man, speaking on that mushroom tea with no chaser. Taking it in its purest form, son. The purest of the pures. Actually, it's more than mushrooms that I got up in here, son. I got a whole bunch of stuff up in here, son. Y'all know how I do, man. I be experimenting, man. Getting my experiments on with these herbs, boy. Joe, man, we're gonna be talking about this full visible spectrum, man. What it really is. Let me know if I'm coming in clear, man. Am I coming in clear? Let me know what's going on, man. Am I coming in clear? Coming in clear. All right. That's what's up, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. You know what I'm saying? Hit that digital hug button, son. Matter of fact, that's not even a like button. That's the algorithm button. Hit that algorithm button. You know what I mean? That algorithm button disguises a like button. Or disguises a thumbs up. Which is really symbolic for the horns, man. Hit that horn button. Hit that horn button. We're going to be talking about the full visible spectrum, man. What it really is. You know what I mean? Now, we've been programmed to see the visible spectrum as light. You know what I'm saying? Meaning that, you got these wave beams, the red, the green, the blue, and all that makes up imagery. That's the program that's floating around here. Full visible spectrum, the wide visible spectrum, all these different terms, how they try to name the spectrum, it all has to do with these beams of light. That's coming from the sun. You know what I mean? And they advertise that people on the planet can actually see the full visible spectrum. That's an illusion. You know what I mean? A majority of the people on the planet cannot see the full visible spectrum. Now, I know when I say that, they're going to be like, man, what this guy talking about, man? This guy talking about people can't see the full visible spectrum, man. I got a color TV, man. You talking about, man? Color TV in 4K. I get millions of pixels, man. I see all the visible spectrum, man. I go outside, I see light, I see the sun, see the sky. You know what I mean? I see all these images. I'm not blind, man. This guy talking about. You are blind. You know what I mean? Because hold up for a second, son. It's tea, man. This tea is marvelous. I'm eating and drinking my tea. It's tea time. Kermit the Frog tea time. Kermit the Frog tea time. I mean, the full visible spectrum has to do with embodying all of your senses. That's what the full visible spectrum is. It represents all of your senses. And when people on the planet don't utilize their sensories, well, I can't even say to the max because, for the clones, it is maxed out. Well, let's say the carbonated beings on the planet don't utilize their sensories or their senses on a full visible spectrum output. And when I say full, it doesn't mean that it has a limit. You know what I mean? They're not using it, which have to do basically we in this realm. So this realm have like a full visible spectrum in regards to how your sensories should be able to operate. I mean, all these realms have it, but we just gonna focus on Earth right now. This plane. So the full visible spectrum have to do with all of your senses being able to have speaking the language, a percentage. But I'm just saying that to give you an idea. But it encompasses the full spectrum. In other words, we over here in this plane. This plane, when you're looking at certain images, those images have a full visible spectrum, meaning that you could see. Let me be clear. When I say this plane has a full visible spectrum, I'm not meaning from how they describe it. You know what I'm saying? Let me put that in there so people won't get confused. When I say that this plane has a full visible spectrum, I'm meaning from the spectrum from when it was created to when it would not be in existence anymore. That would be the full visible spectrum of this entire plane that we're in. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean when I say that. Don't get it confused with the visible spectrum they talking about when you could see all these different colors and it creates all these different images. That's not the full visible spectrum. That is just a portion of the spectrums that you're seeing. You know what I'm saying? And the only reason why the sensories or the senses is portioned off because there is limitations within the field. For instance, your vision has a certain frequency that it sees in. Let's say your vision could see imagery or light within a hertz or frequency of let's just say 3,000 to 50,000. Let's just say that your vision sees images that exist within the frequency of 3,000 to 50,000 hertz, and anything before 3,000 you can't see, anything after 50,000 you can't see. You know what I'm saying? So your vision is limited. You're not seeing the full visible spectrum. You're seeing a portion of a frequency just based upon how your eyes has been tweaked. And that's based upon the sensory capabilities in regards to the energetic output that is vibrating on. You know what I'm saying? So you're never seeing the full picture. You're dealing with fragments, images based on that's based in the 3,000 to 50,000 hertz. So you're not getting the full story. You're not getting the full spectrum. You're not seeing the full spectrum. You're just seeing a portion. You're blind. You know what I'm saying? So that visible spectrum deals with the sight. But now the visible spectrum also deals with the hearing. It also deals with the hearing. Visible is to recognize. As I stated before, seeing is comprehending. Seeing is not ultimately capturing images. Seeing is comprehending, knowing, not believing, knowing. You know what I'm saying? And your hearing exists within the visible spectrum. Now, your hearing you could only hear certain sounds that exist, let's say, in a frequency range of 500 to 15,000 kilohertz. Let's just throw a number out there, son. You know, they got this stuff charted down, son. But let's say your hearing is like 500 to freaking, up there, freaking 15,000 kilohertz. Let's just hypothetically say that's what your hearing is. You know what I'm saying? So it's like your hearing doesn't cover the full visible spectrum. It's limitations in what you can hear. You can't hear dog whistles. You can't hear insects communicate. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of vibrations out here. You can't even hear the vibration of Earth. Earth makes a rumble tone vibration when it's moving through this universe that it's in. You know what I'm saying? When this planet is moving, it's making a sound. You can't even hear that because the vibration exists outside of your hearing range. You're not in tune with the full visible spectrum. That's why lies exist. You know what I'm saying? Lies exist because lies is like limited vibrations that doesn't encompass the entire full visible spectrum. So when the full visible spectrum is not being, and I'm gonna say this just to speak the language, perceived, because we beyond perception over here, but I'm just speaking the language to give people an idea. When the full visible spectrum is not able to be perceived, lies, the vibration, lies is a limited vibration, and once the vibration exists within limitations, then lies is created. Lies is hybrid. Lies is not real. It is created because it exists in a limited spectrum frequency, son. You know what I'm saying? Lies doesn't exist in the full visible spectrum, son. It exists where there is limitations in one being able to perceive. Speaking the language when I say perceive, the full visible spectrum, son. You know what I mean? So you're not seeing, regardless what they tell you, you got the red, the green, the blue, the orange, the purple, the red, the violet. They telling you all these colors make up the full visible spectrum. No, that is a portion. You know what I'm saying? There's colors that's in existence or vibrations that's in existence that the humans would never tap into, son. You know what I'm saying? We, the souls, could tap into all of that. You know what I'm saying? Because we are beyond all of this. You know what I mean? Hold on for a second. We are beyond all of this. So they not seeing the full visible spectrum. And now it's like they got the carbonated beings on the planet, assuming that they seeing the full visible spectrum, but they not seeing the full visible spectrum because their senses is not operating on a wide spectrum wave band. It's based in limitations. Why? They tell you that you only use 20 or 5 or whatever percent of your brain they telling you that you use. That's an illusion. You know what I mean? That's an illusion, son. The percentage, speaking the language, of the brain usage varies on each individual, son. You know what I'm saying? They telling you that you're only using 5% is no different than telling you got blood type A or blood type B. They trying to lock you in the vibration. You know what I'm saying? But the senses usage or the integrity of the senses is based on you, the soul, how much energy you're vibrating out, how much energy you could push through your senses, because the more energy, more robust, frequent raising of the energy that you push through your senses, that is what they would determine as higher senses. When you got senses operating on a higher energy frequency, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what the higher represents. The higher senses represents senses that represent that's being utilized on a higher energetic wave band. You're not using your senses on a low current output. You know what I'm saying? In other words, you're not using your visual sense, your eyesight sense, in a 3,000 to 50,000 hertz range. You're not using it in that range because that is limited. You know what I'm saying? That would be like a 20/20 vision. You're using your sight sense in a 3,000 to 50,000 hertz range. That is limited senses. That would be standard senses. You know what I'm saying? But when you now using your sight, just speak the language using a chart to give an example. When you're using your sight from 0 hertz all the way up to 1,000,000 hertz, you know what I'm saying? Not saying that that represents the full spectrum, but giving you an idea. Let's just hypothetically say 0 hertz to 1,000,000 hertz represents the visual spectrum, the entire sight visible spectrum. Then you would be using your senses, your sight sense on a higher waveband. So they would qualify that as that person right there got higher senses when it comes to their vision. Their vision is higher. You know what I'm saying? They're using their vision on a higher sense. You know what I'm saying? Because the sense is determined based upon the frequency, son, of the channels that exist out here. Your hearing exists in a certain hertz bracket. Your voice exists in a certain voice bracket. Your sense of smell exists in a certain hertz bracket. Your sight exists in a certain hertz bracket. You know what I'm saying? So when you're using all of those senses, the visible spectrum is like you're using it in those brackets. That's what they would call common sense, regular senses, average senses. You know what I mean? And when you're using your senses, or your senses is locked in those vibrations, you could be deceived. You could be deceived with sight. You could be deceived with sound. You could be deceived with the voice, speech. You could be deceived with feelings because that also exists in a low visible spectrum, son. You know what I mean? But when you're able to go beyond these spectrums, you know what I'm saying? Like when you look at something and it's being advertised within the range of a five, a damn 3,000, 50,000 hertz. When you're looking at something and it's being advertised in that range only, and the people who's trapped within those hertz, they get locked in the vibration and they take things as face value. They take it as face value. You know what I'm saying? Because their sight is compromised. It's limited. They're dealing with limited sensory capabilities, and your senses is supposed to scan. You're supposed to scan things and be able to interpret the integrity of whatever it is that you're scanning. Whether you're listening to something or looking at something, tasting something, smelling. Because before you taste, you smell. Your sense of smell is like an aerial taste. You know what I'm saying? Your sense of smell is like an aerial taste. You're supposed to sense the smell or smell the sense and determine if it's something that you want to taste or digest. But because your senses now is your sense of smell has been corrupt because it exists in a frequency where lies exist. You know what I'm saying? It exists in that frequency where lies exist. Let's say your smell sense is from 100 hertz to 20,000 hertz. You know what I'm saying? That limited sense. They got your sense of smell in the 100 to 20,000 hertz range. Once they got you in that range with your smell, they could compromise your sense. So now when you smell things, you like, whoa, that smells good. Let me eat that. That smells good. Let me drink that. Or her perfume smells good. You know what I'm saying? You're not going past the feeling or the smell or the frequency range. But when you use the sense, the smell, and you're able to go beyond the 100 to 20,000 hertz, you see what it is. Now your senses pick up the aroma that smells good, and it also picks up the encoded particles that's within between the molecular makeup of the aroma and say, that's poison. That's poison, because your senses now could pick up what they encoded or encrypted in the aroma. So instead of you going past a bakery and smelling the bakery, the cakes and the cookies and all that's in the bakery, and the strawberries and the fake strawberry cakes and all that, and the icing and all that, and they got all these creams, and you know what I'm saying, all this sweet stuff in the bakery, and you passing past the bakery and you, wow, that smells so good. Oh, let me go up in there and get me a couple of cupcakes. Now, I mean, let me go up in there and get a couple of cupcakes. Your senses have been undermined in a specific lock hertz frequency that when you smell the aroma, you assume that that is a pleasant aroma. So now you want to invite that to your taste buds and begin to start eating those bakery goods. You know what I'm saying? But somebody who could go beyond that locked frequency, how they want, or how a lot of people sense of smell operate. You know, those who use the standard sense, the common sense, those who don't have the ability to utilize the higher sense or see the full visible spectrum. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who have the ability to go beyond all that will smell it, and they could detect the poison in between the aroma. They won't get locked in the aroma. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing with the sight, same thing with the hearing. That's how you could hear when people lie to you, son. You don't need a lie detector test, or you don't need nobody to admit anything. You know what I'm saying? When you are able to tap in to the full visible spectrum, you listen to people and you can hear the distortion or the lies that's encoded in what they want to pass off as if it's truth. You just listen. You know what I mean? And number one, in order for you to be able to even tap into the full visible spectrum, you have to know what emotions is. You know what I mean? You have to know what it is. Me telling you what it is not knowing, son. You have to know it. It's something that you have to, it has to click. In other words, it gotta click. You know what I mean? Once it click, there is no unclicking, son. So once it click, you like, okay, I see what it is now. You know, I see what it is. Who is I? The pineal gland, son. The etheric gland. I see what it is. You know what I'm saying? I understand, I comprehend, I know what it is now. You know what I'm saying? So the senses, the five senses, how it is advertised out here, it has to do with this network that actually gives people the ability to have like an awareness or consciousness, you know what I'm saying, to actually perceive things, figure things out. No. You know what I'm saying? No, because that 5 is a frequency. They got your senses operating in a 5 frequency sense that they tell you is 5 senses. You know what I'm saying? The reality is, you know, I'm speaking a language with the 5 senses, but the reality is we don't have 5 senses. You know what I'm saying? We have a is like a solar radar. You know what I'm saying? It's like a solar radar that we have. We, the carbonated beings, we have a solar radar that can detect various things. They put a number and a name on things that you could detect. You know what I'm saying? Sight, hearing, sound, touch, all that stuff. Is way beyond that. That is a solar radar mechanism that we have, that we just detect things. You know what I'm saying? We detect things because they say that your hearing, your ears is the only way you can hear. But you have it where deaf people can sense of vibrations that they would determine as hearing. You know what I'm saying? They have it where blind people could move around like they got eyes. You know what I'm saying? So the senses that you think are the senses is just another game that they playing to lock you in this limitation that you only got 5 cents. You have a radar, like a solar radar, that can detect various things. They just put a number and a name on it to minimize it. You know what I'm saying? And our solar radar covers the entire. And when I say entire, it doesn't mean that it has a beginning or end. Beginning or end. I'm just speaking a language to give you an idea. It encompasses the entire spectrum field. You know what I'm saying? In fact, that's how we are able to communicate with what they call dead people. You know what I'm saying? Because that's taking it outside of the frequency range of sight and communication. Sight and sound. One of the main reasons how we are able to communicate with what they tell you is dead people, spirits, you know what I mean, is because we go beyond the sight. We go beyond that frequency that they say your eyes working. Or we go beyond the frequency that they say your ears working. You know what I mean? Or we go beyond the frequency that they say your voice working. Because when you communicate, when you want to communicate with a spirit, you focus your brain to tap in to a channel that's not for this physical plane. You know what I mean? You focus your brain to tap into a channel or a frequency that's not for this physical plane. You're sending vibrations to another dimension. And though that's why if you talk to a spirit, nobody else could hear but you. You could be in a room with 20 people, son. You know what I mean? And you could be talking to a spirit or a disembodied entity. You could be talking to a soul. You know what I mean? A disembodied entity. But the only one who would hear it is you. Why is that? If they in the same room with you, why are you the only one hearing it? Because the voice, the vibrations is coming in from a different channel, from a different frequency, and people's ears are locked. The clones are the ones who have their senses locked in a specific hertz. Why? Because they have a mind. That's one of the purposes of a mind. It deals with limited vibration. It doesn't deal with the real. You know what I mean? It don't deal with the real. It deals with the positive and the negative polarities, created vibrations, things that exist within the brackets of vibrations. You have 200 or 50,000, and within that whole range, that's where they could hear, see, smell, feel. You know what I'm saying? But go beyond that. Duh. What? Huh? What is that? What is that I'm looking at? Somebody tell me what that is. You know what I'm saying? They don't have the ability to tap in to those frequencies. Now they use mediums, like they use carbonated beings as mediums or antennas to tap into certain dimensions or communicate with certain entities. They use us. You know what I mean? They use us all the time, son. And the carbonated beings still don't get it, son. They still don't get it, son. They still don't get that they're using us as a means of a communication. You know what I mean? It's like you looking at, it's like you got a TV and you like, damn, son, I wanna watch my TV, but I need an energy source, and you gotta plug your TV into the wall to get the electricity. You know what I'm saying? So you can start seeing the portal or the images. You know, so you using the electricity as an energy source, so you can see the imagery on the screen. That's what they doing. They using our soul energy as an energy source to communicate with spirits. You know what I'm saying? To do all these seances, do all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? You got the lost carbonated beings out there thinking that we need them. No, they need us. You know what I mean? They need us. You know what I mean? So they are the ones, the humans, they are the ones who have the limited spectrum, their senses, their five senses, which is nothing but a knockoff of the some of the abilities that we have. You know what I mean? They senses is a knockoff of some of the abilities that we have. You know what I mean? But we have the ability to go beyond and see the full visible spectrum. One of the abilities that we have with the sight is what they would call as remote viewing. See, they always want to name these things. You know what I'm saying? But that's just an ability that we have when we looking through timelines. You know what I'm saying? Because we could take it beyond that visible spectrum. We know that imagery is nothing more than vibrations. We know that it is. It's vibrations. It don't matter if you're looking at a solid object, if you're looking at a cloud, or if you're looking at water. That's all energy you're looking at. Energy being described differently, and they all have different vibrations to it. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to be in that time frame physically looking at the object to actually see it. You know, the full visible spectrum already exists for this planet. What's going to happen 10,000 years from now already happened. Time is a programmed sequence. It's not random. You know what I'm saying? Time is something that is programmed. It's something that's pre-programmed. You know what I mean? So when we in time right now, it is just moving through the course of how it's been programmed. So the whole existence, the whole timeline of this planet has already transpired. We just in a frame that has a series of frames, what they want to call time frames. We just in the frame. You know what I'm saying? But when you looking at the full visible spectrum or the bigger picture, you could see that's how I broke down how this planet was created, son. And in the archives, which the archives got lifted, but I already broke down how this whole planet was created. You know what I'm saying? You could see from the beginning to the end because we got the ability to tap into the full visible spectrum. We could see everything in its entirety. We can hear everything in its entirety. We can vocalize things in its entirety. One of the main reasons why the carbonated beings have the ability to break things down to the least common denominator, son, is because we have the vocal full visible spectrum, son. That's why we could break things down, son. We don't have to physically beat it. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to physically beat it. We don't have five senses like these individual senses. We have abilities and they all work as one. So if we break in something, saying one, I'm just speaking the language when I say one. You know what I'm saying? So we don't have to physically be nowhere. We know this. You know what I'm saying? We could push the sight sense and the hearing sense and the speech sense in different timelines simultaneously. You know what I'm saying? Your sight does not exist in your eyeballs. You know what I'm saying? You got to get that out of your head. Your sight does not exist in your eyes. You know what I'm saying? Your hearing does not exist in your head. And your vocal expressions, your mouth, the way how you speak does not exist in your vocal cords. You know what I mean? That's all vibrations that you, the soul, is sending through the network that they would want to call senses. That's all it is, man. You're pushing the energy through different sensories. The energy is coming from you, the soul. It's not coming from the brain, or it's not coming from you, son. The physical body. It's not coming from the brain, and it's not coming from the physical body. It's coming from you, the soul, that is fused to the body. You know what I mean? You see how your organ, you see how you got like your organs, like your body wears the organs internally? Like how you got all your organs inside your body? And it's like your physical body is wearing your organs internally. Well, you, the soul, is wearing your physical body internally, son. You know what I mean? You fused with the body. That's why I spoke about what the aura is. When they talking about your aura, that's you. That's them being able to see just a little portion of you under certain circumstances. The light has to be, or the energy around you has to be manipulated in order for them to see what they would tell you is an aura or a hue. But that's you you're looking at. That aura is you. The aura is not emitting from your body. You, the aura, is fused to the body. You know what I mean? You are the aura. You're the energy. Straight up. So the same way how your organs is being worn in like clothes internally in your physical body, you're wearing this body. That's why they call it God's body. That's why them 5%ers was talking about, but they were saying I'm God body, like I'm God body. No, you're not God body. You are wearing God's body. You're wearing it like a jacket and pants, clothes, shirts. You know what I mean? You're wearing the vessel. That's what you do. You're wearing it like armor. It's like freaking armor you got on, son. God armor. God body, son. You're wearing the body. But because you don't have the full visible spectrum, because you can't tap into the full visible spectrum, you believe. You believe there's a such thing as death. You know what I'm saying? You sitting up here talking about, oh, I believe, well, you know, whatever my eyes see, I believe what I hear, you know, I believe whatever they speak or whatever I speak, I believe. You don't have the full visible spectrum, son. People who are unable to tap into the full visible spectrum, they fear. Fear exists in a limited bracket frequency, son. Fear, hope, love, pain, joy, emotions, that all exist in brackets of frequencies, man. When you're able to go beyond those frequencies, you can see it for exactly for what it is. You know what love is, you know what pain is, you know what all this fear, you know what it all is. It's results. It's results of not being able to tap into the full visible spectrum. You don't have a complete knowing or understanding. That's why you run around here using feelings to believe. Feelings. I use feelings to identify everything. There is no feelings. When you come out the body, there is no feelings. You know what I'm saying? It's you, the soul. You, the soul, vibrating on a frequency that's beyond positive and negative. You know what I mean? But when they want your senses to be locked in a positive and negative, meaning that you could have your damn taste sense exist in a frequency of 400 to 30,000 hertz. The 400 will be the negative, and the 50,000 hertz would be the positive. So they keeping you in the brackets of the positive and negative, man. Don't think positive and negative is always good and bad. Positive and negative is never good and bad. It represents polarities of what energies exist in. It's not good or bad. Positive and negative is not good and is not bad. It's brackets of where energies exist in those brackets. You know what I'm saying? Look at the damn car battery. Is the positive lead of a car battery or the negative lead of a car battery, is that good or bad? Or is it a representation of the energy that exists in the battery, those brackets that the energy exists in? That's all it is, man. There is no good or bad. It's results. You know what I mean? But once they got you with the mind, the mind vibrates on a positive and negative polarity. So once you got the mind, as I stated before, the mind is like you ever seen those movies when they had like this dude in the damn, like he in some castle dungeon, he got this mask on his face. You know what I mean? They put a mask on his face and it's like he's banished. He can't really see, can't see, he can't hear, he can't speak, he could barely breathe. They got like nose, they got more freaking needle, like they stuck a needle, two needle nose. Like they took two needle holes and just stuck it where his nose supposed to be and he could barely breathe. You know what I'm saying? They got some little holes where his mouth's supposed to be so he could barely speak. They got little beady punctures where his eyes supposed to be so he could barely see. You know what I'm saying? Little punctures where his ear's supposed to be on the mask so he could barely hear. That's what the mind does. It limits you, man. It limits you. You got to go beyond the mind. The hell with the mind, man. You got to be able to go beyond the mind. Once you're able to go beyond the mind, it makes sense. You're only under mind control if the mind is over your head. Hence why they say you're under mind control, meaning that the mind, the feel, the positive and negative energetic brackets that they have your senses operating in. You know what I'm saying? Because the mind control deals with manipulating your senses. And once your senses is locked in the positive and negative polarity, you would never have the full visible spectrum. You would never be able to see the full visible spectrum. You'd be lost. You'd be running around here believing, hoping, wishing. You know what I'm saying? When you're able to go beyond, you have nothing but clarity, son. You know what I mean? You have nothing but clarity. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, when you hear people listen to certain things, like whatever music they like, looking at certain objects, and they gain this affinity for these objects, they don't know what they're looking at. You know what I mean? The way how the way how the sound is designed and the visions is designed within the brackets of your senses that's based in the limitations. You know what I mean? It's meant to pull you in, or even meant to make you reject it. Because even if you reject it, you're still in it. Because that would be the negative polarity. You know what I mean? Like they might make somebody reject the religion of Christianity, but they would get them with the Quran. They would get them with the Quran. You know what I mean? So Christianity might not have gotten you, but the Quran did. You're looking at Christianity as something negative. You saying, well, I'm not dealing with Jesus Christ because Jesus Christ is negative. You see that as a negative lead. So that Christianity pushed you away. And now you go over here to the Quran and you're like, well, the Quran, yeah, I like the Quran. So that would be the positive. That would be the positive. So you're still in the brackets. You're still in the bracket. You know what I'm saying? So you can't go beyond the brackets and see what religion really is. You can't go beyond. Why? Because you're using feelings. You're not using you, the soul, which is beyond feelings. You know what I mean? You don't understand what the full visible spectrum is because they gave you the matrix definition of the full visible spectrum. So now you thinking at it, well, I see the full visible spectrum. Nah. You know what I'm saying? The full visible spectrum with all of your senses, what they would want to call 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You know what I'm saying? And all of your senses is able to see it for what it is. And this has nothing to do with seeing anything good or seeing anything bad. You just see it for what it is. You're not locked in the brackets. You know what I mean? You're able to move through the brackets and move out the brackets. You know what I'm saying? You're able to blend in and keep it moving. You're not like these people who just who is like they growing up and they like society reject them and they mad at society or certain groups of people, and they sitting in a corner at home saying to themselves, damn, why I can't fit in with these people, man? Like, why I can't fit in, man? Like, I want to fit in. And then they start observing these people's behaviors, and then they start picking up their behaviorisms. Before you know it, they doing exactly what they doing, only because they wanted to fit in the brackets. They wanted to be a part of that society, man. They wanted to do what they do. You know what I mean? So they fit in. They bracket in, son. They don't have the full visible spectrum, son. You able to see timelines. You able to identify the obvious. You know what I mean? You're able to know, not believe. You're able to know when you see the full visible spectrum, son. It deals with all your senses working in harmony. And when I say harmony, I don't mean peace. I mean your senses support each other. Because you're not going to be able to come together with your brothers and sisters if your senses do not support each other. It will never happen. You coming together with your brothers and sisters will never happen unless your senses support each other. Meaning that, I'll give you an example. You go into a business. We're going to use the bakery as an example. You go into a business bakery. They got a whole bunch of cakes and donuts, jelly donuts, glaze, all kinds of sweets. Now your eye sense is being manipulated by what you see. You know what I mean? Your eye sense is being manipulated by what you see. So now you start gravitating towards over to that space where they got all the bakery goods and all that. You know what I mean? And before you start speaking to say, let me get a couple of donuts and that strawberry shortcake over there. Before you say that, you inhale. And as you inhale, your nose sense sends the signal to your brain, don't eat that. And before you speak, you say, never mind. And you just leave. That's an example of how your senses support each other. You know what I mean? Your senses got to be able to support each other, man. If your senses cannot support each other, you ain't nowhere near the full visible spectrum, son. If you got a sense that exists in your sensory network that is manipulating your other, for instance, the same person going to the bakery. Yo, that donut look crazy. Look at the icing just glistening off that donut, man. They got the sprinkles on it. They got a couple of cherries and some red sweet sauce. I don't even know what that sauce is, but it looks shiny. You know what I'm saying? Let me go over there and give me one of them joints, man. They got the milkshake too. I'm about to get these cinnamon toast sticks. Dip it in this cream. You know what I mean? So you looking at all that. It's your eyes is all manipulated in a sense. You know what I mean? Now you inhale. Your nose sense is like, yeah, you about to get it on. Your whole mouth just start watering, son. Your taste bud sense is not even supporting the resistance. It's all for it. It's pre-lubricating your mouth to start eating the damn donuts, huh? You know what I mean? And before you know it, you all over there like speaking, yeah, let me get this, that. You put the money on the table. No resistance, son. It's not supposed to be like that. Your senses is not supposed to be cooperating in a means where it's basically setting you on a course to self-destruct. You know what I mean? I spoke about that with the immune system, son. Your immune system is not only internally, it incorporates the senses as well. You know what I mean? You're not supposed to let it in. People assume, well, if I do this and I don't get sick, then that means I got a strong immune system. Nah, your immune system not supposed to let it in the first place. You have an external defense and an internal defense. Once it get past the external defense, is now up to the internal defense to do what the external defense should have did, which was to not let it in. You know what I mean? Straight up. You know what I'm saying? So your senses need to be supporting each other. You ain't supposed to be saying to yourself with your sense of thought, telling yourself, well, I'm gonna stop smoking cigarettes. And then you got the sense of feeling sending them damn craves through your body, telling you, yo, it's time for me to smoke a cigarette. You know what I mean? And then you got your sense of taste pushing the cigarette tobacco memory through your body that your damn nose could smell it from the inside. You ain't smoking a cigarette, but it's like you smoking. You can smell it because those memory cells now has been corrupt, and they now exalting the cigarette memory in your body. So it's like your mouth could taste the cigarette, your nose could smell the cigarette. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they all assisting you to smoke the cigarette. That's not how your sense is supposed to work, man. And it only works like that because you can't see the full visible spectrum. You exist, your senses exist in the brackets of limitations, and therefore you won't have what is needed to go beyond the limitations, which is more energy. You can't tap into that energy. Anytime your energy get charged up, it get vaporized by parasites. You know what I mean? It gets vaporized by parasites. Straight up. So the full visible spectrum is being able to use sight, just to speak the language, sight, sound, hearing, what they would want to call feelings, and then like you going beyond that, because it's not like you're even using feelings no more. You're using reality. I'm not talking about what's going on down here. You're using reality. Somebody had asked me, what is the opposite of what did they say? Oh, not the opposite. It was asking me something about the video I did a while back about the information and the knowledge and the intelligence. You know what I mean? Yeah, what was the question? Something about the video when I did talking about how informated information is diluted knowledge, and knowledge is diluted intelligence, huh? Yo, we about to add on to that. Intelligence is diluted reality, son. Word up. What's beyond intelligence? Reality. Because intelligence is filtered down. It ain't even no debating that. I was on the intelligence was the purest of the pure. I was on that way. See, I'm not an individual to admit that we upgrading over here. You know what I mean? We always upgrading over here, huh? We always upgrading over here. I'm not one of these individuals who could be saying something and then it's like they scared to update it or upgrade it or do away with it and build on it, make it more, make it more recognizable or knowable, because they worried about, oh, this guy switching up, he's switching lanes. Man, I'm jumping off the bandwagon. As I stated before, is a lot of bandwagons that I'm on. These things just gotta come into the head. And if I want to scream, because sometimes, a lot of times, things come in the head, and I ain't trying to deal with that right now. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, it comes in the head. If I focus on it, if it makes sense, I'm riding with it. If it don't, I'm jumping off the damn barrel wagon. They're gonna see all my scars. People laughing, pointing fingers. That represents the scars. They're gonna ask me what happened. I jumped off the wagon, son. You know what I'm saying? Yo, we growing over here, son. These battle scars of growth. You know what I mean? These battle scars of freaking growth over here, son. You know what I mean? So reality is beyond intelligence. Intelligence will be, it would be reality dumbed down on a higher level. You know what I mean? For those who got like an immediate connection with reality, it will be filtered down to those people. Then those people will filter it down into knowledge. For the people who can't get the intelligence, they can only get the knowledge. So now I got to be stripped down into knowledge. And those who only riding on that information wave, who can't tap into the knowledge, the people who know about the knowledge could now take the knowledge now and put it into information. And then you get those who ride on the information wave, those who can't get on the information wave because they on BS wave. Now you got those who on the information wave take the information and turn it into BS. You know what I mean? And that all got to do with them not being able to tap into the full visible spectrum. They all their senses exist in certain frequency brackets. You know what I mean? It exists in certain frequency brackets, huh? Straight up. Oh, let me see what's going on in the chat, son. Oh, shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Shout out to everybody. Yo, hit that horn button, son. AKA like button, son. But the matter of fact, hit the algorithm button, because that's not no like button. That button is based on algorithms. The more that algorithm goes up, oh, y'all know what YouTube do, man. Live just went to commercial. What's that about, bruh? Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Yeah, man, it's color they never seen. Vibrations they will never see, man. Nah, man. And shout out to I Seek Truth for the donation. Continue these teachings, young God. You choose to be this ethereal ambassador as you enter this realm. Man, we on that wave, bruh. For real, man. It's all about raising the vibe, man. Now y'all know what the full visible spectrum is, man. You know what I mean? Y'all know what the full visible spectrum is for real. You know, having people's senses operating in a limited network of frequencies. That's not the full visible spectrum, son. You know, that's common sense. That's common sense, and common is for the clones. It ain't for the souls, man. It's for the clones. That's how the clones vibe. They vibe on the common sense. You gotta get your senses online. Still within the box that opens the cross. Right? It don't matter. It don't matter what they go to, man. They still worshiping sigils. I mean, shout out to Caddy. What's the difference between instinct and intuition? They the same. They the same thing. Just different polarities on the same wave band, son. You gotta have like lesser creatures a bang off of instincts. You know what I mean? Lesser creatures that bang off of instincts because they didn't might have not experienced a certain encounter. So their first reaction is fear. And then you have those with the intuition. They could have probably went through the experience before. And based on them going through that experience, they could use the intuition to be like, this is how the chance this is how it's gonna play out. It's gonna play out like this because I've been through this before. You know what I'm saying? But it's the same thing, son. Positive and negative polarity, different polars of the same wave band. You know what I mean? Which is just based off results. Both intuition and instinct need to be triggered. So it's a response. You know what I mean? It's a reaction. Straight up. The action would be the one who is interacting with them. The action would be the one who's interacting, who's doing the interacting. You throw something at a horse, it's gonna run. That's the instinct. You know what I mean? The person who inflicted the throwing, he triggered something that was already in the animal on how to behave or how to respond to that. So it's basically the same. Basically those frequencies exist with limited sensory capabilities. You know what I mean? Limited sensory capabilities. When you're able to go or able to tap into the full visible spectrum, you would move in a way that you would never be in the path of anybody throwing anything. So there's no need to react. You know what I mean? There's no need to be like, well, we're going through this before. This probably how this going to go down. You sit up there trying to calculate based off of, you actually trying to recalculate off their calculations. Shout out to everybody in chat. Shout out to everybody in chat. But you know, the full visible spectrum is not everybody could tap into that because you know that deals with reality. And to a species that ultimately vibrates off of emotions. You know what I'm saying? And I was on the wagon of emotions being energy in motion. I'm off that wagon. You know what I mean? Nah, man. Emotions is algorithms, man. It's pre-programmed reactions. It's pre-programmed reactions, man. It's algorithms that's based in actions and reaction. It ain't ultimately no energy and motion, man. It's algorithms, man. How one is supposed to behave or act based upon an interaction. If they vibrate in the hertz of emotions. For instance, if somebody is extremely emotional, like if you got a guy who's mad emotional in regards that he's jealous, he's vibrating within the emotional jealousy frequency, son. So when he gets a girl, and I'm just speaking the language when he get a girl because he ain't really got nothing. But when he get a girl, every time he sees her or he's around her, he's always going to be having the thoughts in his head that she's cheating, she's hanging around with somebody, or who you on the phone with. There's always going to be arguments because this man frequency is locked in an emotional jealousy brackets. So he's always going to be coming at her like that, son. You know what I mean? Always. Emotions. And those codes that he would be animating out that would describe his behavior is nothing but algorithms, man. He allowed himself to get locked in the frequency. The same way how you see how the humans name the senses, you know, like the sight, like, even though they ain't name it, but you see how they call the senses the sight, the hearing, and all that. When you go past the words, you see that it's all vibrations. You see that your sight is a vibe, your hearing is a vibe, it's all vibrations. Your voice is a vibration. So all these names throws you off. Like when you say, like when I say jealousy, it might throw people off. But jealousy is a vibration. It is a vibration. Emotions is a vibration. You know what I'm saying? So if you get locked in a jealousy, you're getting locked in a vibration. And how could you visually identify the vibration based upon how these people behave that they determine jealousy. You're now seeing how the vibration of jealousy works just by looking and seeing how that person behaves, how they act, the conversations they have, the enormous amount of doubt that somebody is doing, that she's creeping on him, or even her creeping on him, or he creeping on her. You know what I mean? You're now seeing how the vibration works when it becomes embodied by a vessel. You know what I mean? So that's the same thing with emotion. It's a vibration. Algorithms, man. Algorithms. So emotions is algorithms. And this is something that I stated before. It is one of many programs that exists in the consciousness. Consciousness would be like Microsoft Windows, and you see all the programs that Windows run. That will be like individual aspects that make up the consciousness. Just like how they got those programs that Windows runs. All those programs Windows run is like individual aspects that make up the program Windows. You got all these hundreds of thousands of programs running together that makes up Windows. That's what consciousness is. Consciousness is a program. It is a program. You're not conscious. You don't have consciousness like how they try to identify it. It is a software program that your physical body runs. It's a program. And all these different implementations that have to deal with consciousness, like perceptions and love and emotions, and that's all programs. It's all programs, huh? That specifically programmed and targeted certain corridors or conduits or vectors of the brain. Certain parts of the brain run certain programs. So they got these programs targeted and stored in certain memory of compartments of the brain. Not the whole brain, but certain parts, certain hemispheres or portions of the brain. You know what I mean? Because different parts of your brain run different programs. So the consciousness is a program. I spoke about that when I was speaking about Adam and Eve and the when they was talking about the 10 Commandments. Adam and Eve and the 10 Commandments wasn't some man coming down from the hill with 2 tablets on each shoulder talking about, I'm here to give you the word of the Lord. You know what I mean? The 10 Commandments is a binary code. 1, 0, 10. Commandments. What do you put in computers? Commands. You command the computer with the keyboard. You write programs. So the 10 Commandments was a binary system for the humans to run, the Adams and the Eves, left hemisphere, right hemisphere, male, female. It's a BIOS update. That's why it's called Genesis. You know what I mean? Genesis is like a BIOS. It's like a BIOS software, son. You get a computer and when you building your computer, son, you know what I mean? And you put the processor in the computer, son, and all that, son. Before you can run that computer, you have to do what is known as a BIOS. You have to flash the BIOS to the processor. You know what I'm saying? So the programs could be able to run and be installed on the program, on the motherboard, on the hard drives. If you don't have a BIOS on the motherboard, which is the brain, you know what I mean? Matter of fact, it's stored in the motherboard, not the processor. That's the they do have it where it stores in the processor, but you gotta flash the motherboard too. The motherboard is like the brain, and it's like basically it's a program for the motherboard on how to run programs to the processor, the graphics card, the memory, how to interact with the programs that you have on the hard drives, how to identify different hard drives, whatever you got hooked up to the motherboard. The BIOS program gives the motherboard the ability to identify and run those programs smoothly, son. That's what the damn 10 Commandments is, man. It's a BIOS update. It's a BIOS. They're computers, man. Computers. I mean, computers. Straight up. Well, yo, man, I'm out the bill now. You know what it is? Man, full visible spectrum, man. What frequency you vibrating on, son? What hertz they got your senses vibrating on? If your senses is ultimately locked in a bracket of hertz, you're not tapping into the full visible spectrum. You know what I mean? Where you're able to see all, and I'm just speaking the language when I say all, but you're able to see all, hear all, you know what I mean? Identify all. You know what I mean? Your ears supposed to be able to hear all kinds of vibrations. All kinds. Your sight, you the soul, supposed to be able to see all kinds of dimensions. You know what I mean? It's not so much your physical body seeing the dimension or your physical eyes seeing the dimension. It's you the soul tapping in to a frequency, and you're now sending that frequency through the pineal gland in the brain. You know what I mean? And it's like you literally open up a portal. It's like you, the soul, is like tethering a portal where it's like you projecting it outwards. Look at it somewhat like you, the look at it like you, the soul, is like a projector. And it's like when you tap into a certain frequency where a dimension exists, you now have that dimension being projected through you. And now it's like you push that projection through the pineal gland, the brain, and the eyes. So now when you looking out, is like you're a projector in the movie theater pushing it on screen, but the screen is what you're seeing out here, and it's like you looking, and wherever you turn, you see that room. You open up a hole in space, and you see millions of miles through the galaxy, son. You know what I mean? That's how portals work. That's how portals work. You open up a portal and you move into the portal. Next thing you know, you a million light years into another realm. You, the soul, is doing all that. It's not so much the physical body is doing it. You, the soul, is doing it. You just relaying the energy through the body. Ultimately, it all comes from you, the soul, being able to tap into the full visible spectrum, not the portion, not the mind, not the positive, the negative polarity. We go beyond all that. You know what I mean? We tapping into the full, speaking the language when I say full. You know what I mean? We tapping into the full visible spectrum. We hear everything that's encoded in the vibration whenever it's being spoken. Because spoken words is nothing but thoughts. You know what I mean? Your thoughts goes in. You ever know? You know when you sitting there and you talk to yourself, but it's like you don't speak out. You say it in your head, and you could hear the voice in your head when you talking to yourself. That's what your words are. When you speak out, that's exactly what's happening, son. Yes, you're sending words to your head. You, the soul, is sending those vibrations to your head, but you're sending it in a sense where you trigger your brain to activate your vocal cords for you to speak out what the soul is projecting to the brain. You know what I'm saying? So when you sitting there and you talking to yourself and you talking in your head, you know what I mean? You also doing that same thing when you're speaking out. So that's how you could read someone's mind when they're talking, because they could put the lies, because like whatever they speak, they thinking. You know what I mean? But whatever they think, they don't always speak. So they could be thinking a lot of things and choose what to speak out. But when they speaking out, while they thinking what they thinking, you could pick up everything within the speak as if they are speaking out everything that they are thinking and not holding nothing back. So that's how you could determine if someone is lying, son. But you tap into the full visible spectrum of the hearing. Somebody is talking to you, you know what I'm saying? And they hold back the lies, but they still send those thoughts to their brain like they would be talking to themselves. You know what I mean? And you could pick it up. You could literally hear it. You could literally hear it. And you could shut them down. Man, that ain't what it is. This what it is. Sometimes they'll look at you shocked like, the freak? How the hell you know? The hell you mean? You told me. You told me, man. What you mean? You know what I'm saying? But you tapping into the full visible spectrum. That's how you could do that. You know what I mean? Straight up. But yo, man, y'all already know what it is, man. I'm about to shut this video down, man. Shout out to everybody on the in the chat. Word up. I heard about that joint Outriders, man. I ain't even trying to get in them games like that. I'll just be testing out the 5. About to start doing some tutorials with these cameras and all that. Photography and all that. Get on my movie-ish. Start doing my joints. Now, I mean, I got my weight up now, man. I know some things now. I know some things now, son. All I gotta do is just put it into all I gotta do is put in the work, man. Now, they got a lot of things closed out. A lot of things closed out here. Know what I mean? But you know, while they got things closed out or whatever, I be in the cut getting my practice on. I actually got another PS5 for sale, man. I sold like, think about 2 or 3 of them joints I sold already. I got another one for sale right now, son. Word up, bro. I got another one of them joints for sale, man. Letting that joint go. Like, I got a game came with it, man. Because I know I sold one with a Spider-Man, and I sold one. I think this other one got a Spider-Man too. I sold one with the 2K, and I sold one with Spider-Man. I think this other one is a bundle too, so with the Spider-Man. But this one is the one that come with both. I think it's the both Spider-Man. I don't think it's just Miles Morales. I think it got the original Spider-Man in it. It's like a remastered version, and they got that other one with it, and the Miles with it. So it's like 2 Spider-Mans you get. Word. But yo, man, I'm up out of here, man. Shout out to everybody. Yo, hit that horn button, man. Hit that horn button. We got about 24 people in this mug, son. You know, we got about 16 likes, man. I want to see that go up to 24, man. It's that algorithm button, man. I mean, hit that algorithm button, man. Y'all know what the full visible spectrum is now, man. You know what I mean? Dealing with reality, son. Being able to see things in its entirety. Anything that is artificial, you be able to, and real, but artificial, you will see it in its entirety, son. You be able to see the entire timeline, son. All timeline has recorded audio. All of it. All timelines has already been played out. You don't have to wait for a date for something to be played out. It's already played out. The whole existence of this planet has already played out. Time is pre-recorded energy. Energy that has been programmed to carry out a specific course. We're in the course of the energy that has been programmed by what they would call gods. It's already pre-programmed. So you don't have to wait for the year 2080 to hear what it sounds like over there, son. You know what I'm saying? One of the reasons how we was able, like they would say like you hear about certain carbonated beans, they be like, yo, they ahead of their time, and like they like make music or act or make inventions or they just make things, anything, son. And it's like it doesn't belong in the time frame where they are presently at. They be like, this kind of invention right here or whatever this person is creating right here, it seemed like it's something that actually should be 500 years from now. That's where they got it from. You know what I'm saying? They pulled it in from the pre-recorded data, pre-recorded timelines. You know what I mean? They pulled it back here. Straight up. They pulled it back here. It's an advancement, son. So it's like all the time it's pre-recorded. It's all pre-recorded. This whole past, present, and future, that's all in the same pre-recorded timeline. I was on the future wagon too. Like I stated before, I'm off that wagon. You know, because what's beyond the future, reality. Reality, son. Where there is no time. You know what I mean? Reality, son. That whole past, present, and future, that holy trinity. You know what I mean? Straight up. We're dealing with reality, which is beyond time. But yo, man, let me get up out of here, man. I already know what it is, man. Keep raising that vibe, keep raising that vibe, keep raising that vibe, keep raising that vibe. I'm out.